What's it like living on a boat? To wake up and embrace the morning in a different part of the world every day. To fall in love with a lifestyle that is simultaneously beautiful and dangerous. It's a wild experience that challenges and rewards us every single day. We left security, comfort, and reliability and swapped it out for freedom, adventure, and open air. We live an alternative lifestyle for sure. However, we still keep some of our day-to-day routines, just like everyone else. We start our day getting energized, we give our bodies nutrients, and we take a moment to plan out, to the best of our abilities, what the day will bring.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, everybody.
You may remember from last week that we had a boat full of guests. We took them to a number of anchorages around this area and we had a blast, but we finally got them off the boat. We got the boat cleaned up, and today we are going to continue our journey down south so that we can see some new anchorages and make some new friends and have new adventures. And today is going to be a sail day. We're going to take you along on one of our typical sail days. We're going to get the boat ready, get ourselves ready, and show you what it's like to go sailing.
Yep, so we are going to try our very best to show you guys a day in the life aboard La Vida Gypsea. Hopefully it's an exciting one and it'll be full of fun, but if it's not, then you know that we're being 100% honest, giving you our typical day.
Well, Rigby is still a princess and she does not like to pee or poop on this boat as long as we're near land. So before we start today's sail, I'm going to go take care of her business, make sure she's comfortable before we take this long sail. This sail's probably going to take us a good majority of the day, so I want to make sure that she's comfortable. So come on, Rigby. Come on, jump down. Good girl. Okay, we got the princess taken care of. She's more comfortable now, and this is definitely part of the daily routine. And I tell you what, she is worth every minute of it, but logistically, it is a nightmare having a dog on a boat. If you don't have a dog on the boat, don't get one, but she is worth it. We love her, and I don't mind doing this every day to help her out. Dishes initially with salt water, rinse with fresh. It's kind of nasty, but it does save water. Fresh water is a valuable commodity around here on the ocean. On La Vida Gypsea, Linda is good at taking care of me, but she's also good at making messes. And I am more the neat freak, so I tend to do most of the cleaning on board, while she does the rest of the messes. Takes good care of me. So before we take off, we got to make sure that we batten down all the hatches and get anything that's going to shake, rattle, or roll secured so that we don't have any water coming in, damaging our electronics, and don't have anything breaking or crashing. So it's one thing that we do every time we sail. We got to go through the boat and make sure everything is secure.
All right, let's talk about safety real quick. There's a lot of things that you got to do to make sure that you are safe before lifting up anchor and going. Obviously, one of the most important things is your life jackets. You see us oftentimes in our videos not watching or not wearing life jackets, and it's not because we don't have them, and it's not because we're, you know, irresponsible. We always have our life jackets easily accessible in the cockpit, ready to grab for whatever reason. But we always check the weather. We always make sure that things are looking nice and calm before we make the decision to take them off or put them on. The crewmate who always has her life jacket on, though, is Rigby, and that's because she's basically a child and we don't trust her. She likes to get up close when dolphins and things come, and there's just a lot of things that we're looking out for and watching for while we're driving the boat. Last thing we need is to worry about Rigby more than we already do, so she always gets her life jacket on before we even lift the anchor, and our life jackets are always here and ready to grab.
So anytime we're about to leave and start the engines, you've got to check the engines, make sure that everything's okay, because you don't want to get these engines going and start motoring out to sea and then something goes wrong. So we always go through and check our oil levels, make sure there's no water in the oil. We check our belts to make sure they're tight. We look at the water intake filter, we look at the fuel filter, the engine coolant, just to give it a once over and make sure that everything looks fine before we get these things going. Even on days like today when we apparently have no wind, we always take time to look at our wind apps. We use Predict Wind, the offshore version, and that way it gives us a little bit of peace of mind knowing what is coming, what could possibly be coming. We want to check our weather, check our waves. We always check our tides to make sure that we're coming into our anchorage with a good tide. And so these are things that we check on to make sure that there's nothing that's going to surprise us. Although I will say that with the weather here in Mexico, I think because the winds are so light, Predict Wind doesn't always give you a really accurate idea of which direction the wind's coming from. For instance, today it shows us winds at our back, which would be great. I would love to be able to pull the spinnaker out and fly the spinnaker and sail downwind to our next anchorage. But many times we get out there, I find that the wind's right in our face. And I think maybe it's because we're a little bit too close to land. We're not super far offshore, and maybe the land masses are adjusting the wind direction. But for whatever reason, it never seems to work out in our favor. We always seem to be sailing right upwind. All right, we've got enough wind that we can get our sails up and start sailing, save us a little diesel. So I'm going to go ahead and raise the mainsail once I get turned around here into the wind, and we will turn those motors off shortly. All right, well, I think we actually got the winds that we were looking for. Predict Wind was right. We've got the winds on a broad reach, and so I'm going to try to pull out the spinnaker. They're light winds as well, so we're gonna do a little light wind sailing and pull this spinnaker out and get a little practice with it today. It's always fun and a challenge trying to get this thing up and trimmed because we're still not experts at it, so hopefully it'll go a little bit smoother each and every time we do this. We're gonna play around with it until it looks like it's catching the most wind.
Hey, but that went off pretty effortlessly in comparison to the other times we've done it. No snagged lines. I did my part, he did his. It's up. No one screamed at each other yet. We are adjusting a bit. Kurt's over there behind me, trimming the main a little bit to get the maximum dosage of wind to keep our spinnaker nice and full. And I think it's almost lunchtime, so I'm going to caffeine up to continue having energy for the rest of the day. But that was definitely a pick-me-up. I'm really excited. We've had a little bit of blips before putting that spinnaker up, and this is so far the best one that we've done so far. So yay! We're learning! How are your little sandwiches?
They're good. Very petite. Keeps me thin, but they're tasty.
Yeah. It's funny, I feel like my day revolves around food. I know my day revolves around food because I love food, but as soon as we're done making breakfast, we know we got to get up and get going, and then we know the day is halfway done when it's lunch, and then as soon as I'm done eating lunch, I have to think about dinner because I have to have time to thaw whatever it is that we're going to make tonight. So as I'm eating this food, I'm thinking about what I'm going to be making for tonight too. Always got to be prepared. What do you want tonight?
We might have an opportunity to go on shore, but I don't know. Otherwise, Linda gets off easy with me. I eat anything, and I'm really not particular, and I don't have cravings, so anything that she makes, I eat, and generally don't complain about that. We've got about 6 knots of wind right now, which isn't great. This is pretty typical of the Pacific Mexico weather that we've seen. Now, granted, we have been here since October 1st, and we have yet to see a drop of rain. In the 4 months that we've been here, there has not been one drop of rain. It's always dry, it's always light winds, which is great. I mean, it's consistent, and we haven't gotten wet, we haven't had any miserable days, but at the same time, I sure wouldn't mind getting some wind and having a few windy days so that we could really test our sailing skills and see what this boat can do.
I have made the executive decision of which anchorage I want to stay at tonight. We were deciding if we wanted to stay in Ensenada Carrizal or if we wanted to go a little bit further down to Bahia Santiago, and I have decided that I want to go to Ensenada Carrizal. Reasons being, they say that it is one of the few rare treats found on the west coast of mainland Mexico. So I think it'd be kind of silly to not stop and check it out. Also, it says it's got really awesome snorkeling. We haven't really been able to enjoy snorkeling as much as we want to, so I'm hoping that this little stop turns that around for us. It says that it's a pretty isolated anchorage, undeveloped, hidden from any signs of civilization, so we're hoping that it's going to be an empty anchorage. We've been around a lot of boats lately and just like in muddy waters and just surrounded by boats for the last couple of weeks and really busy anchorages, so we want to just kind of exclude ourselves for a bit, get some really nice clean water to make. And I haven't showered in like 4 days. Truth is the truth, and I want to take a nice good sugar scoop shower, let it all hang out without being judged, and I'm gonna throw Kurt in the water and make him take a shower too, and maybe Rigby will get a shower too. If we don't like it, or if it's too crowded for some crazy reason anyway, Bahia Santiago is only about 5 nautical miles away, so we could always just pick up the anchor and move, but decision's been made. And before I forget to tell you guys where we're getting this information from, this is the book where we are getting the information from. It's Pacific Mexico, a cruiser's guidebook. The authors are Sean Breeding and Heather Bansmere. Sorry, Heather, if I butchered your last name. I'm sorry, but your content is fantastic, and we have been going off of this guide, and I'd say it's pretty accurate. Yeah, Kat? It's been pretty accurate so far. We really, really like it. Very detailed. It's got great course routes, lots of information, really, really, really nice images and maps that show you like the dangers, and it's been pretty on point. So if you are considering cruising down the Pacific coast of Mexico, highly, highly recommend this book.
Okay, another daily chore we have on our sail days is emptying the holding tanks. We have holding waste tanks that keep all our waste on board the boat when we're in anchorages so that we don't pollute the anchorages. And then after we lift anchor and we go offshore, then you have to empty these tanks. And I know it sounds gross emptying them into the ocean, but the law is after you're 3 miles offshore, it's legal to dump into the ocean. And right now we happen to be about 6-7 miles offshore. So we are more than legal, and it's time to get these holding tanks emptied so that we can fill them back up again.
If you're wondering to yourselves, does it stink? The answer is yes. It stinks every time, just a little bit.
A little. It's not supposed to stink, but our hoses could probably use some replacing. In theory, it should be all a closed system, so there shouldn't be any smell, but the smell does permeate through the hoses over time once the hoses get old. And some of these have been replaced recently, but not all of them. So you get a little bit of odor, but it's bearable. I've got to adjust course. Our anchorage is just over there on the coast, about 4 miles away, and we've got the wind coming right behind us. We're running with the wind right now, and so I have got to jibe in order to head over to our anchorage. And so I want to douse the spinnaker, then we're going to take a jibe, and then we'll let out the Genoa and kind of take a broad reach, beam reach into the anchorage. We should be there in about an hour or so.
We got a fish? Yeah, you got one. It's probably a little guy. Ah, he's a little guy. Not worth the wasted time.
All right, we got some late afternoon breezes here, and I turned up into the wind a bit so I could get out of the way of this cargo ship. Manzanillo is a big cargo shipping port, and so there's lots of ship traffic that comes in and out of here. We've got a big Chinese cargo ship coming at us at 16 knots. So I turned up to get out of his way, and then we'll tail off and calm down a bit. But we sailed all the way into our anchorage today. Only used the motors for about 20 minutes to get out of Barra de Navidad and get our sails up. And the rest of the day we've been sailing, so this has been a fun day.
As soon as we approach our anchorage, our high went down to a very low because we see on the screen that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't even know how many boats. 5, 6 boats up in there. And the whole point we wanted to come to this anchorage was to be isolated. So that's not going to happen. Also, I just found out that only a few boats can fit in there. So even if we did try to get in there, it's going to be too tight, and I'm tired. So on to Santiago. I'm still showering though. I don't care where we're going. I need a shower. You need a shower. And that thing needs a shower.
All right, we made it to Santiago. The sun's going down, so it was a full day. Full day of sailing, just in time for, I guess, a quick cold shower and a sundowner. But first we got to get anchored. But yeah, the bay's pretty, and we came over to Santiago thinking that it was going to be a little more crowded because it's a bigger anchorage, but actually there's only one other boat here. So
yeah, ironically enough, it's just us. All shaved up, saltwater splash, then freshwater rinse. I feel like a new woman! Oof, that was refreshing, just what I needed. But there's one more thing that I need to end my day, and that is a sundowner.
well, your job is to get out the bean bags and to find us a drink then.
Okay, that sounds like a good job. I can do that.
Wow, I don't know if it's because we've been ping-ponging back and forth to the same anchorages the last couple of weeks, or if this is truly what it is, but this anchorage is taking my breath away. It's so beautiful.
It really is. The beach is awesome. It's got nice palm trees with beautiful homes on it, beautiful hotel.
The mountains,
everything's
seagulls.
Awesome. We've got birds, we have whales. So it's, yeah, it was worth the sail down here. And like I said, the weather is always awesome here. Can't complain about that. So yeah, we're happy we made it here to Santiago.
Yep, so thank you guys so much for watching our day in a life episode. Make sure that you guys hit like, make sure that you guys hit subscribe. When we say like, we mean that little icon with the little thumbs up button that goes like that. Push it if you like it, and definitely hit subscribe if you guys want to not miss anything coming up soon in the next couple of weeks. Again, thank y'all so much, and we are calling it a day. See y'all next week.
See ya.